Hi and welcome to On Two Wheels. In this episode, I'm going to replace the tail section on my DRZ400. So what you see here is an aftermarket tail section. I need to replace this because I was told that this will not pass a roadworthy for two reasons. First, it does not have the white light to illuminate the number plate, and second, it doesn't have a reflector. The turn signals on this are also quite aged and they look pretty bad, so I want to do something about that as well. And here is a rear tail section that comes stock from Suzuki. I took this off my old bike which I sold for parts. So this has the complete rear tail light as well as the reflector, and on the plus side it also has flexible LED turn signals which won't be breaking off the next time I drop the bike. I'm going to start off by removing the rear rack on my bike, but most DRZs would normally have a tool bag over here. Before I start, I'm going to make note of where these 4 bolts are, just so that I can fit the luggage box's base plate in its original position. Next, I take off the rear rack, and depending on the rack that you use, the mounting would quite likely be different. I now take the seat off. At the rear, the original rear fender has 4 bolts connected to it. 2 bolts are used to fasten the rear fender to the subframe, and 2 more bolts hold the stock tail to the rear fender. Once these 4 bolts are off, there will be 2 more bolts holding the tail section to the subframe. I then undo the bolts holding the tail section. Before I pull out the tail section, I need to disconnect all the wires. Originally, the tail light is connected to the main harness with a 3-pin white connector, and there will be 2 individual connectors for the turn signals. All the connectors are located on top of the airbox, and they will be routed along the subframe and then under the rear fender to the tail section. Once I've disconnected the wires, I can pull out the tail section. When you put the new tail section in, hopefully you will have the same kind of connectors at both ends. In my case, the previous owner has replaced the original connector with 3 individual wire clips. So I'm going to make sure that the tail section that I'm putting on also has the same connectors. I redirect the wires under the fender and along the subframe and bring the ends to the airbox area. If you don't have the original wires, like in my case, a bit of trial and error will help you match up the correct wires. Things weren't working out for me and I couldn't see the bulbs light up, so I investigate further. I then realized that one of the wires at the bulb holder itself is broken. A quick solder should sort that out. I then soldered 3 clips for the tail light wires. The reason I do this is so that if I do want to switch back to the sleeker aftermarket tail section, it will be a simple plug and play. I now tighten all the bolts for the tail section and put the rack back on. Now you would have noticed that I replaced the old turn signals with LEDs. The lesser current draw for LEDs would normally cause the turn signals to blink at a much higher speed. To fix this, you could add a resistor as an additional load or bypass the relay to resolve this. But the right way to do this would be to swap in a relay that can handle LEDs. The relay is located under the headlight cover and just takes a few seconds to pull out. So that wraps up this project. Thank you for watching.